Hello everyone. I wanted to go ahead and make a quick little video dealing with what I call the second part of this chapter on motivation and emotion, more specifically focusing on the content related to emotion. This isn't a very long one, but definitely an important one. So let's go ahead and get started. To define the concept of emotions is actually quite simple. It really isn't that hard. I've asked students before, what is an emotion? And sometimes you get the romantic explanations. They define love, they define fear and that. But I ask them at the very core, in its most basic sense, what is an emotion? And it's a little hard to define. Emotions really are based on nothing more than a physiological reaction. Okay? That's all any emotion really is a physiological reaction. That's it. I mean, that sort of takes the romance out of the answer and all that kind of stuff. But that's what any emotion truly is. It's an internal biological, physiological reaction. And the fact of the matter is, you don't really notice this unless it tends to be a little bit intense. For example, think of these four, what I say sometimes extreme emotions. Uh, Basically, imagine a situation where you're so happy that you're laughing ridiculously. Your sides start to ache, your cheeks hurt after a while from laughing so much. I mean, that does occur, and you notice the internal physiology going on. Or maybe you're so sad that you've been crying and you've shed so many tears that your eyes are actually getting puffy from having done so. You notice the physiological reaction. Or maybe you're so angry that you can turn around and basically feel your heart pounding in your chest, and maybe your fists clench up, because you feel like you've got to attack or something. Or maybe you feel fear or terror, or you're really scared and you notice your body physically trembling uh, uh, uncontrollably. When you talk about these four aspects, you start to notice the physiology. So when I say that emotions are based off of physiological reactions, there's your proof right there. One very important chemical internally that I don't mention in the slide, but I want you to know that's really key to a lot of this is adrenaline. Adrenaline is a big one. That it really truly is. It says a lot. So be aware of that. Okay, adrenaline affects all of these and more. When we're talking extreme emotions, you notice the physiology. When the emotions are a little bit more subtle, you're just slightly amused, you're just ever so a touch angry, just a little disappointed. When it's small, you don't notice the physiology. But when it is overt, yes, then you do. So my point is, the physiology and the physiological reactions are still going on with any emotion, be they intense emotions or mild, they're still there. So be aware of that. Okay. As far as how emotions work, really the biggest, or excuse me, the way I like to explain this, and I think is one of the simplest ways, is to talk about the relationship between emotions and behavior. The relationship between emotions and behavior. Okay, very, very important. All right, that you understand this. Sort of a question of which comes first, which comes second. Traditionally speaking, when you ask someone, if you think about it, what comes first? Do emotions drive behavior, or do behaviors drive emotions? And if you think about that for a second, what typically happens is that the emotion comes first. All right, you feel happy, you feel sad, you feel angry, you feel fear or something else, and then your behavior happens based on that. Your emotions drive your behavior. And that makes a lot of sense, all right? If we don't know how to respond to a situation physically, the emotions help to tell us what we need to do. So the traditional theory is very much correct, that emotions occur first and behaviors occur second. Now, with that being said, I want to make you aware of two men. William James, who, if you think about it, we actually mentioned the name William James back in chapter 1, and Carl Lang. William James and Carl Lang came along and said that the traditional theory of emotions is correct, but incomplete. Okay? The traditional theory of emotions is correct, but it's incomplete. It doesn't cover everything. Imagine the following scenario. Imagine that you're driving home from school one day, and maybe it's a gray, cloudy day, and you're driving through a neighborhood that you drive through every single day, and your mind's on a dozen different things, work and school and family and other things. And you look up ahead of you as you're driving down the road, and between two parked cars comes a bouncing ball. Okay, it just comes bouncing out and stuff. And about, a second behind that comes a little 4-year-old running after his ball. This little 4-year-old is running right into the street. You're about to hit them. Okay, so you take the steering wheel and you throw it hard to one side so as to miss them, hoping not to hit this child. Oh my gosh. And you think you've missed the child, but you realize you're about to hit a parked car on the street. So you whip the steering wheel back the other direction. And you turn around and know that you didn't hit that parked vehicle because you didn't hear that, metal on metal. And you stop in the middle of the street, you look in your rear view mirror, and what do you see? You see the little guy running back in the driveway with his ball. You didn't hit anything. Okay, you didn't hit anything. It's not till you get down the street about 1/8 of a mile, and let's say, for example's sake, you stop at a 4-way stop and you feel the emotion overwhelm you. According to William James and Carl Lang, sometimes the behavior occurs first. Sometimes the behavior occurs first and the emotions will follow. All right. So the traditional theory is not wrong. It's just incomplete. It just doesn't cover all possibilities. And that's what that's about. Then along comes two gentlemen by the name of Walter Cannon and Philip Bard. Walter Cannon and Philip Bard, you'll find this in the book, as well as these other, but Walter Cannon and Philip Bard, when you talk about the relationships between emotions and behavior, simply say this. It's not a question of emotions first and behavior second. It's not a question of behavior first, emotion second. When it comes to this relationship, these things tend to happen simultaneously. Emotions and behaviors fire simultaneously. There's no trying to separate them. There is a part of the brain called the hypothalamus. Okay, we talked about that in the biology chapter. A hypothalamus controls, among other things, emotions. And right next, yes, that's correct. And right next to the thalamus, right next to the hypothalamus is the thalamus. So the hypothalamus controls food intake, water intake, and emotions. And right next to the hypothalamus is the thalamus. And the thalamus is the great relay station of the brain. It controls, among other things, behavior, okay? Physical behavior, movement. So they're right next to each other. They fire simultaneously. One's handling emotions, one handling behavior. There's no one before the other, okay? 3 different ways of looking at it. Last component here, the Schachter-Singer theory. This is James Schachter and Stanley Singer, who basically said that when it comes to emotions, don't look at it as one part before the other. Don't look at it as simultaneous. They came up with what is called the cognitive theory of emotions. Schachter-Singer's cognitive theory of emotions. And what this basically says is this, okay? What this basically says is this. In the blink of an eye, humans can read a situation, label it, and pick the appropriate emotion to show. Okay, cognitively do that. They can cognitively assess a situation, label it, and then pick the appropriate emotion to show, and they can do it very quickly. Imagine that come next semester, you are in one of the main buildings, say like the Myers building, and you find yourself on the very first day showing up hours early before your first class. You're going up a flight of stairs to go find a classroom, and as you get to the top of the stairs, just as you're getting to the top, you take about 3 steps, someone comes around the corner, you don't see them coming, they crash right into you, all right, and they knock you down, okay? They come around the corner too fast, they knock you down. All right, your books go flying everywhere out of your bag because your bag wasn't zipped up tight, and they go, sorry, and they keep going down the hall, or they go ripping down the stairs. What emotion are you going to show? You're probably going to be mad. You know, gosh darn it, watch what you're doing. My God. All right. Scenario number 2. You're out playing a game of football with friends, okay? It's in the field, you're having fun, you haven't done this in a long time, but in the process of playing, you find yourself on defense, the other team throws a pass, you intercept, you catch the ball, you intercept, and you're running to make a touchdown. You got to get past that oak tree because that's the end zone, and you're running to get to past the oak tree, and someone's trying to catch you, and as you get closer and closer to the tree, arms and legs get tangled up, you fall to the ground, you get knocked down, but you look up and realize you're past the tree, you're in the end zone, touchdown, all right? What emotion do you show? You're happy, you made the touchdown, okay? Scenario number 3, you're taking a late night class at OTC, and the class gets over at 10 o'clock. It's very dark out. You're walking to your car. The lighting is not the best. It's about 10:15. The class meets from 7 to 10. And as you're walking to your car, someone turns around and very deliberately waits till you walk past and they knock you down. All right? What emotion are you going to show? Well, chances are you're going to show fear. All right? Think about it. In the first situation, you were near the stairs and someone clumsily crashed into you. They knocked you down and you were angry. The second situation, you're playing football with friends. You get knocked down, but you're happy. The third situation, someone knocks you down and you get fearful. You get scared. All right? You read the situation and you pick the appropriate emotion to show. That is the Schachter-Singer theory. Okay? That's the cognitive theory of emotion. Now, no one theory, the traditional, the James Lang, the Cannon-Bard, or the Schachter-Singer, no one theory works for every scenario. But everyone seems to have a bit of validity in its own right. So we recognize and respect all four, and you need to be aware of that. So that's what I want to focus on in this chapter on emotions, these 4 types, the idea that emotions are based off physiological reactions and that adrenaline is a very, very big part of that. All right, that's all I've got. Take care.